Hi and welcome to our next video in the series we're making about strata reports. Today we're going to talk about capital works funds. These used to be called the sinking fund, and they're a very important part of strata schemes. The purpose of the capital works fund is for the building to save money towards future maintenance and replacement of building elements. This could be things like the roof, lifts, or the painting of the building. But how do you know how much your building should be saving? You find this out by getting a capital works fund forecast done. This is an estimate of future expenditure that's done by a qualified person like a quantity surveyor. They will come and inspect the building, assess all of the features in the building that will need future expenditure, and estimate when that expenditure will be necessary based on the useful life of each element. Then, based on that future expenditure, the quantity surveyor will then estimate how much in capital works fund levies the building needs to raise each year so that they've got enough money to do the painting in, say, 5 years, or replace part of the roof in 8 years' time. The idea is to create levies that are pretty much similar each year, that increase by a small amount each year, so that there's always enough money in the fund to pay for future expenditure. If a building follows the forecast and gets it reviewed regularly, there's a very good chance they'll always have enough money to keep their building well maintained. So once you've had your initial 10-year forecast done, it's important that you don't just rely on that for 10 years. You should get it updated every few years so that your expenditure can get more accurate all the time. By adding in what's happened in the last few years, it'll make the forecasts for the next few years more accurate. The other thing to remember is that sometimes it's possible to defer expenditure. So that painting that you'd forecast to happen in 4 years' time might not need to be done for 6 or 7 years. So when you get the forecast updated, you can then recalibrate your expenditure, and that will help the building to stay in the best possible financial position. One of the biggest issues with capital works fund forecasts is that although buildings are required to get a forecast done, they don't have to follow the recommendations in the forecast. So many buildings choose to levy lower than the recommended forecast. Now, what can that mean? Well, often it means that buildings don't have enough money to do the required maintenance. That can mean that expenditure gets deferred, but it can also mean that when expenditure has to be done, say for example a lift breaks down, then the owners will have to pay for that expenditure through an unexpected special levy. If you don't raise enough levies, then over time there's a good chance that the building will start to deteriorate. Now that's bad for maintenance, but it can also be bad for the ongoing value of your building and its attractiveness if you choose to sell your apartment. Don't forget also that when that building starts to deteriorate, the costs to rectify those problems can be higher, and that can mean higher special levies or more regular special levies. Now, on the topic of special levies, we'll be talking about that in our next episode. But if you want to know more about capital works fund forecasts, then you'll find a more detailed article on our website in the resources section. Until next time, thanks very much for listening. See you later.